glad that didn't rev up anybody. Which it could. I mean, there's so many conversations these days about gender and whatnot that, frankly, I find them a little boring. If you're in one of them in the near future and someone's talking about these things, that maybe the differences between the sexes, I recommend tossing out this little gem. Just ask the group, whoever you're with, just go, hey, who's the worst woman who's ever lived? And then a lot of thoughts will be happening. One is like, that's not what we should be focused on. But a thought that is not happening is a long list of candidates scrabbling to the top of your brain. Even if you land on one, you're like, oh, come on, brain, you can do better than that. It's tough. If you have that discussion, you'll likely find yourself at one point going, hey, what was the name of that woman Charlize Theron played in that movie? That's how utterly devoid that list is, the contenders for worst woman of all time. Whereas with men, there are tiers of evil you have to sort through that are competitive. Beyond just the killers and stuff, at the top there are world leaders, and that is a competitive category. You could go out and someone could make a compelling case that Hitler, too awful for hell, Hitler is not the worst human being that ever lived. And you might leave that discussion being like, that Chairman Mao was not nice. That's how competitive that category is. Then when you sort that one out, then you just get into your run-of-the-mill psychopaths, serial killers, people where if you have 30 bodies buried underneath your house, you might not have finished in the top 20. That's how competitive the men's group is. Does anyone here know who Samuel Little is? No one ever does. He's a serial killer who was active in the 80s between California and Texas, who killed 60 people that they know of. But he recently gave the whereabouts of some bodies that lead investigators to believe he successfully killed 100 people. Triple digits, the holy grail of serial killing. Making him the most successful serial killer of all time. But here's the kicker. He's black. Yeah. On the positive side, nice little splash of diversity. Very good. You're like, serial killers are always white. Not the greatest of all time. Not the best to ever do it. The triple digits guy. And you talk about privilege. I know that word gets thrown around a lot these days, but a black serial killer in the 80s, no one's looking for you. He may have been pulled over multiple times, like license and registration, and someone was in the trunk, just like, I'm like, that doesn't sound like crack. Get out of here. Guy had it too sweet. Okay, great. With the men, they're always just crazy. They're just psychotic. You can't. With women, a lot of times you can kind of justify it. Eileen Wuornos is the name of the woman that Charlize Theron played. She was killing gentlemen who were purchasing her as a prostitute and then not only not paying her, but beating her up. If you take nothing else away tonight, pay your prostitutes. No one's gonna feel bad for you if you get killed. But you can kind of justify that. All right, I see it. And that's just, with women, I feel like, not all the time, but a lot of times it is justified. Every so often there's a story of a mother with children in the car, windows rolled up, driving them into a lake, and people hear that story and go, kids are annoying. It's kind of justified.